Shabakola. That story will be coming a little later on, but let's first start off with what the president is calling for, which is the prosecution of Pastor Paul Mackenzie over the deaths of dozens of his followers whose bodies were discovered buried at Shakahola Forest, that's in Kilifi. The president made those remarks during the prison's officers' pass-out parade today. The head of state likened the pastor to a terrorist, ordering Kenyans to do acts contrary to the tenets of the Constitution. And the number of bodies, by the way, retrieved from the forest have now risen to 73. Here is that report.
President William Ruto has broken his silence on the death of dozens of followers of Pastor Paul Mackenzie, whose bodies were discovered buried at Shakahola Forest in Kilifi County. The head of state said the acts of Mackenzie are akin to terrorism and are contrary to the tenets of the Constitution.
What we are seeing in Kilifi, in Shakahola, is akin to terrorists. There is no difference between Mr. Mackenzie, who pretends and postures as a pastor when in fact he is a terrible criminal. Terrorists use religion to advance their heinous acts.
Ruto further directing relevant state agencies to look into the matter, even as he urged Kenyans to continuously be on the lookout for those who want to abuse religious teachings.
And I have instructed the agencies responsible to take up the matter and to get to the root cause and to the bottom of the ideology in the Republic of Kenya that is causing unnecessary loss of life.
At the same time, the leader of Minority Party at the National Assembly has criticized the criminal justice system and the security system for failing to prevent the Shakahola cult deaths. The leader of the Minority Party claimed the suspect behind the massacre has been in and out of court with his accomplices on several occasions, regretting that the criminal justice system set them loose.
Shirika hili la NIS lilishindwa kutekeleza wajibu wake. Na hadi si mtu mmoja, si watu wawili, si watu watatu. Watu waliopoteza maisha ni zaidi ya mamia. Je, polisi wetu na wachunguzi wetu walikuwa wapi? Lakini uchunguzi wao mkubwa ni saa zile Azimio wakianza kuita mkutano.
That so-called visit by Mr. Kome to Shakahola, following our statement, really, is too little, too late. In any event, if we were in a more civilized society, he should have resigned by now. He shouldn't have been going to Shakahola. He should have tendered his resignation and gone home together with his bosses. Okay? So we see that move or that visit as merely an insult to the people of Kilifi and Shakahola in particular.
Sijalala vizuri mimi kama mama nikifikiria wale wanawake wote ambao wameweza kuzikwa pale katika Shakahola. Nikifikiria ni watoto wangapi leo hii wameenda mbele za haki, wamerudi kwa Mwenyezi Mungu pasipo na makosa ya aina yoyote. Mimi kama mama nalia na naumia katika roho yangu.
Meanwhile, a section of clerics from various parts of the country have condemned the tragedy in Shakahola, calling on Kenyans not to have a blanket condemnation on the church.
We shouldn't just point a finger at Paul Mackenzie. We should also point a finger at ourselves and say, if we teach our people, we train our people, we disciple our people, then they should be able to distinguish between the true gospel and the false gospel.
Doctrine that made people die is not what we preach, is not what we believe in, and we want to appeal to anyone who makes policies in the government not to look into that and generalize for the whole body of Christ.
But humbly and respectfully urge the Kenyan government to think very carefully about punishing the churches of Kenya of any faith because of the actions of this individual.
For Prime Edition, I'm Gladys Mungai.
8 people have been rescued alive from a forest in Shakahola after they attempted to starve to allegedly meet their maker. Under the leadership of that controversial preacher we have been talking about, Paul Mackenzie. This as 26 more bodies have now been exhumed from unmarked graves, bringing that number of alleged killings from the Mackenzie-led Good News International Church to a staggering 73.
Mackenzie, sasa watu si ameua.
6 people, including an assistant pastor to controversial preacher Paul Mackenzie, are tonight spending in police custody after they were arrested Monday at a forest in Shakahola, Kilifi County. Fatalities in the Starvation to Glory ploy rose to 73 today, with the discovery of 26 more bodies in the expansive forest. Most of the victims were women and children, members of the Good News International Church, a religious organization to controversial preacher Paul Mackenzie. 8 people are reported to have been rescued alive after they attempted to starve to death in Shakahola in order to meet with their maker. Meet Joyce Ngetich.
Sasa baada ulipataje information kwamba yuko huku?
Tunaongea naye na simu. Na chabi kumdanganya nifanye acha nikuje nikuchukue, anakataa, ananiambia kuja usikuje, sirudi Babeli, lakini mwisho nimempata.
According to Joyce, his husband left home for Shakahola on 12th November 2022 and he has been in communication with her since then.
Mmekuaje? Mmempata akiwa hali gani?
Aliko sawa, alikuwa anatoka Kisiagi, amenomena na unga, aende kupika msituni akula huko mwezi wa 6 ngojea Yesu ndiye aende.
Wewe unajisikiaje?
Mimi niko sawa, nafurahia kwa sababu nimempata, kwa sababu watu wako wananiambia ni wapee kijana yao.
Steve Mwaniki from Kitui County is however not lucky enough yet to find his brother.
Juzi tuliongea na yeye na ikawa anaongea na sauti kidogo sana. Akawa anafifia ni kama alikuwa anaendelea na kufast. Na jana nilijaribu kuongea na yeye akachukua simu lakini hakuongea, instead alinitext. Akaniambia wako hai wakiwa 3 na bado nilipitia kwa DCIO wakaniambia leo ndio operation kubwa itafanyika huko msituni. Na bado sasa niko huku ndio tuhakishe kama hiyo namba yake trace. Na bado sasa tunaendelea na kutrace hiyo namba yake tuone kama akiwa tutapata akiwa sawa kulingana na vile alikuwa amenieleza kwa text.
How does somebody tell you not to eat? You see yourself dying, your colleague dying, you are losing weight, but this person telling you not to eat is adding weight. Therefore, I think let's start by not pointing fingers. We're in this situation. Can we maybe sensitize our people?
According to the Kenya Red Cross Society, 212 people have been confirmed missing from their homes. Irene Mchuma Odim, the Prime Edition.
The rise of Pastor Paul Mackenzie and Tenge, making headlines, of course, after forcing his followers to fast, a move that has seen tens of them die out of starvation. Let me bring in Warimo Njenga now. Warimo, is this the making of a cult?
Well, I will take you through some of the characteristics of a cult leader or a cult member. And I'll take you just for 5 of them, just to identify cult leaders. So one is the leader practices financial exploitation, manipulation, or dependence. Second, the leaders impose rigid rules and regulations. The other one is, or members also who are in a cult organization tend to isolate themselves from others, as we have seen in the Shakahola cult. And leaders tend to regulate members' diet through forced fasting, just like what you have seen there in Kilifi County. And also members are manipulative, and this is also applies to the leaders, deprive non-members sleep. Those are just some of the things you need to watch out for when it comes to this cult organization and some of these cult leaders that are maybe in your region or wherever it is that you are watching us from. Tom.
Thank you very much. Indeed, Wairimu there. People influence, manipulation, and some of the characteristics that Wairimu is talking about, their rigid rules and even isolation in certain instances. My good friend was telling me that the mafioso mindset might also feature as one of those characteristics. But that's a story we have our finger on the pulse, and we will be following it for you. Now, President William Ruto has tasked the judiciary and the Office of the Attorney General to deal with the congestion witnessed in prisons across the country. Speaking while presiding over the 26th pass-out parade of the 222 cadet officers at Prison Staff Training College in Ruiru, the head of state recommended that petty offenders be released so as to ease the congestion in prisons. Ruto also stated that his government's commitment to improving facilities in prisons to enhance service delivery. Timothy Kipnusu was there and filed this report.
The 26th pass-out parade of 222 cadet officers at Prison Staff Training College in Ruiru. It is here that President William Ruto called on the judiciary and the Attorney General's office to consider releasing petty offences to ease congestion in prisons.
I note that more than 10,000 prisoners are serving sentences of 3 years and below. Further, 41% of the prison population is awaiting trial for bailable offences. All these people need not be incarcerated. It is important for stakeholders in the justice ecosystem to seriously implement alternative dispute resolution and to consider alternatives to imprisonment for relatively minor sentences.
The head of state said there is a need for the empowerment of prisoners to prevent them from relapsing into crime. Ruto hailed the graduates for completing the training, urging them to diligence in service and utilizing the knowledge gained to transform the prison service.
You will have the responsibility of performing your duties lawfully in a manner that promotes the objectives of our correctional system and complements our economic transformation agenda through occupational training.
He said his government is currently undertaking mechanization in prison farms and modernization of prison enterprise services.
We are going to provide, as I committed, 67 new tractors and other implements and equipment that will enable the prison department in the lands that they have to put under production 8,000 acres to produce maize, to produce rice, vegetables, and other produce that will support the government program on food sufficiency.
On 21st December 2022, a presidential task force was appointed to look into reforms at the Kenya Prison Service, National Police Service, and National Youth Service.
The future lies in a healthy mix of recruits who joined the disciplined forces regularly or through the regular program, and those also who join as officer cadets.
Not all these men and women are always called upon to serve beyond our borders in peacekeeping efforts, in training of other nations' people, and that is a clear recognition that Kenya has made tremendous strides.
And we are very excited because this is a team that is going to help us roll a lot of programs on the ground, and also ensure that they fit in the professional spaces. We have schools in prisons, in our prison service. We have clinics, and we actually have a level 4 hospital here that is coming up, and we will be commissioned later.
As a service, we remain steadfast on implementing our mandate to contribute to peace and tranquility in our beloved country, Kenya.
The 222 cadet officers underwent a 13-month training. Timothy Kipnusu for Prime Edition.
KU, Kenyatta University Teaching and Referral Hospital, launches a new technology to help in the treatment of cancer. All that coming up shortly after this fast break.
Nimesahau kucheza Loto Moto. Usisahau kucheza Loto Moto. Shinda milioni 2 kila siku kwenye M-Pesa. Chagua lipa na M-Pesa. Paybill number 757070. Account number andika neno Loto. Kisha weka star na nambari yako ya simu. Weka kiwango chochote cha pesa kuanzia shilingi 50 hadi 2000.
Aulali.
Lipa kisha subiri draw. Welala. Nitakutimizia ndoto zako. Milioni 2 usiamini. Ujumbe huu umeidhinishwa na BCLB.
Nilikuwa na njiwa wangu lakini akaniudhi. Tulipanga afike njiwa wangu hakuja we. Rudi porini sasa ndege sina haja nawe maisha You are watching Grapevine, KBC Channel 1.
Femi One, the super successful award-winning rapper, has just released her highly anticipated EP titled Dame Toka Mweke.
Kwanza nipe snare na treble na bass. Leo steam zinashika kaveve ya bass.
The EP, which features 9 tracks, showcases Femi One's unique style and sound and promises to be a hit among her fans and music lovers as well. The night, however, belonged to one man, the main boss of the evening, Savara. He changed the evening's atmosphere by his energetic style of performance of hits from his solo album Savage Level and fan favorites from Sauti Soul.
Welcome to Take on Tech. This is the show that keeps you updated on everything you need to know about technology.
First of all, the women that are already in tech should be empowered.
I've actually studied electrical and electronics engineering, telecommunications option. So basically I'm in the tech sector.
The government should empower the girl child in a way that they should venture so much into ICT.
There's never a dull moment with us. Tune in every Monday from 10:30 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1.
Buda, tuko na mgala wako hapa.
Who the hell are you?
Tunataka kupiga exchange. Kwa hiyo prisoner mko naye hapo na wewe mgala.
Prisoner mgani unaongea kuhusu nini?
Lola. Uko sawa?
Niko sawa. Ni uchungu sijui imetoka wapi.
Lola. Uko sawa je, unapiga nduru? Nini mbaya?
Unapa close. Twende Zari. Unapa close.
نياد أوغاتي عدة شيء الكيغا.
نعم.
وحربا إني قذان.
Zari.
وحربا إني وادا إنتان.
Ni kubwa, ni mingi, ni tamu, ni yako na ni moto.
Tumengojea sana show ya Kikenya ambayo inatuelewa na inatujali na pia inajumuika nasi katika magumu ya maisha.
Guess what? We have it. The Loto Moto Show! Uko na uwezo wa kujishindia hadi 2 million Kenyan shillings kupitia draw yetu popote unapotutazama.
Na tuko na haja ya kusikia story na magumu unayoyapitia. Tutakuita kwenye show na tutarahisisha mahali.
Nafasi za wageni watatu zipo katika kila show ambao wanajipatia fursa ya kujichagulia sanduku moja kati ya 12. Kila Kila sanduku liko na zawadi kem na za kipekee, with lots of fun, lots of prizes and money. Lotto Moto, only on KBC.
Welcome back. Our socials at KBC Channel 1. My Twitter handle at Mboya24. Now, the Council of Governors has now given a 14-day ultimatum to the national government to disburse 94.35 billion shillings owed to them or paralyze operations in all the counties. Speaking Monday, the county bosses led by their chairperson, Anne Waiguru, has warned that counties will be forced to shut down should the National Treasury fail to disburse their allocations. She said the delay is unprecedented in the history of devolution, by the way, and negates the spirit of the meeting held in Naivasha, if you can remember, between President William Ruto and the governors.
A financial crisis looms across all 47 county governments over delays in the disbursement of the equitable revenue share to the devolved units. According to the Council of Governors chairperson Anne Waiguru, 29.6 billion shillings is owed to the 47 counties for the month of December 2022. 31.45 billion shillings is owed for the month of January 2023. And 31.45 billion shillings for the month of February this year.
We also notify the citizens of Kenya that due to the failure of the National Treasury to disburse the funds, county governments will not be able to deliver services as expected.
Governors have warned that counties will be forced to shut down should the National Treasury fail to disburse 94.35 billion shillings owed to them.
We are therefore call upon the CS National Treasury to immediately release the 94.35 billion owed to county governments without any further delay. By dint of this, the Council of Governors hereby issues a 14 days notice to shut down counties if February, March, April arrears are not released within the next 2 weeks.
Giving notice here that if we don't get our money for January, February and March, we're giving notice to national government and informing Kenyans that we will have absolutely no option but to shut down counties and ask the workers to go home until such a time when counties are funded.
The Council of Governors both said operations in the counties are grinding to a halt as counties are unable to pay salaries, suppliers, or offer essential services to citizens.
To try and cut the cost, Kenyatta University Referral Hospital Monday unveiled a technology dubbed the cyber knife that relies on robotics to treat cancer tumors without damage to healthy tissues. Launching the technology, President William Ruto said the government is now looking at integrated ICT in medical services to promote telemedicine and establish health management information systems.
Cyber knife is ready to start treatment since it is stored and fully functional. After today, Your Excellency, actually, engineers will undertake the final testing, undertake the soft run and the dry run, and in 2 weeks' time, the cyber knife services will commence with treating the first patient.
Besides launching the cyber knife, which is at the end of the continuum of care for oncology, it also has a PET scan that does diagnosis of cancer. And Your Excellency, they have continued to provide expertise to the 10 regional cancer centers that we have within the country.
We are committed to integrating
preventive and promotive health into the universal health care coverage. Beyond this, it is our intention to build a transparent and efficient supply chain management system integrated with ICT in medical services.
As a way of reducing the disease's burden, the president said his administration is working round the clock to expedite the provision of universal health coverage by eliminating loopholes and have all Kenyans enjoy quality Medicare.
And again, let me say that we have taken time. We have interrogated the new National Health Insurance Scheme legislation. We have gone through the regulations that were taken to court by some of our partners, and we have agreed, in fact, with some of the proposals of our partners, that there is no need for matching of our contributions on health.
Some of the diseases they talk about here are diseases that bankrupt families. First of all, you inflict the pain, the emotional pain, and then they inflict the financial pain.
The new cyberknife technology administers treatment with precision and reduces hospital visits from 30 to 5, with sessions lasting less than 30 minutes.
And I agree with the comments made by the chair of this great institution that we have waiting lists running into months for access to chemotherapy, for access to linear machines in our various institutions.
It is here that the government has made a bold statement by integrating technology and health. It is saying that there is no simple trade-off between the quality of healthcare and its availability. Alan Auko, Prime Edition.
A reduction to 5 visits from 30 initially is truly a milestone. Now, the Ministry of Health and the World Health Organization, meanwhile, have signed a memorandum of understanding to establish a regional emergency hub for Eastern and Southern Africa in Nairobi, Kenya, at the Kenyatta University. The hub will serve as a modern storage center for the essential medical equipment and consumables that will ensure timely logistical support to countries with emergencies in the Eastern as well as Southern Africa.
The signing of the Memorandum of Understanding between the Ministry of Health and the World Health Organization will see the project that had stalled for over 8 months over a land tussle resume. The regional emergency hub will work towards strengthening health systems and improving response to emergencies and disasters.
An expanded and more versatile emergencies hub in Kenya would allow WHO to effectively and swiftly support Kenya and all Eastern and South African countries by maintaining stockpiles of medical and logistical supplies, onboarding and training multidisciplinary teams of human resources to serve Africa's elite emergency experts.
It will also house a center of excellence specialized in capacity building in health and crisis emergency management.
Kenya once again illustrated itself as a leader in global health, as a leader in making a difference in health in Africa.
Speaking at Kenyatta University, President William Ruto hailed the project, terming it a game changer that will create job opportunities and pave way for technology transfer.
That this provision leaves adequate land available for the future expansion of the university and this hospital. The MOU signed today provides a framework under which Kenya and WHO will collaborate in health, training, and rescue efforts during disaster and other emergencies.
The head of state saying that more land will be made available to the World Health Organization in Mombasa.
I have already instructed Moses Kuria to provide the 50 acres for you in Mombasa, and he is already working on the details, and I have his commitment that that will be ready in a month's time.
The establishment of the hub, whose groundbreaking was done in July 2022 by retired President Uhuru Kenyatta, had stalled following a land tussle with Kenyatta University.
I know that there are other pretenders who want to say they are squatters, We are only going to sort out the squatters in Kamai. The other people who drive big SUVs and want to pretend to be squatters, they will have no chance.
The former administration had allocated the World Health Organization 30 acres of the university land, a move opposed by the university. The university vice-chancellor, Professor Paul Wainaina, saying no consultations were done and that the allocation of the piece of land to WHO was not in the best interest of the university. The tussle would see the vice-chancellor suspended but was reinstated in November after the Kenya Kwanza government assumed office. Nancy Okware, Prime Edition.
It brings us to our second break right here on Prime Edition. Don't go away, we'll be back shortly.
To get Skizatune Hail Mary, dial star 811 star 963 hash.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
To get Hail Mary, dial star 811 star 963 hash, star 811 star 963 hash.
Biggest odds in the world every day on selected matches. Make a decision. Mozart Bet.
Welcome to Take on Tech. This is the show that keeps you updated on everything you need to know about technology.
First of all, the women that are already in tech should be empowered.
I've actually studied electrical and electronics engineering, telecommunications option. So basically I'm in the tech sector.
The government should empower the girl child in a way that they should venture so much into ICT.
There's never a dull moment with us. Tune in every Monday from 10:30 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1.
Welcome back to Prime Edition. Further afield, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua today held bilateral talks with the Botswana President Dr. Eric Masisi in Gaborone. During the meeting, the two parties discussed interstate agreements to increase trade volumes under the frameworks of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement and the Tripartite Free Trade Area Agreement, among others. Gachagua says that they explored ways of improving the welfare of more than 3,000 Kenyan professionals who live and work in Botswana.
The Deputy President urged President Masisi to relook into the issue of renewal of residence and work permits for Kenyans in the various parts of Botswana. This was one of the concerns raised when the Deputy President met Kenyans living in Botswana. About 3,000 Kenyans live in Botswana, mainly professionals working as engineers, surveyors, medical doctors, those in education, banking, mining, among others. This is, however, a drop from over 10,000 a few years ago.
We are requesting that Your Excellency and your government to consider that those who have existing permits, unless there are adverse reports about their behavior in this great country, you kindly allow them, renew them so that they can be able to proceed and continue to cooperate with the people of your country to build this country too.
The Deputy President said based on the cordial relations between the two countries, there is need to deepen trade relations. Gachagua saying Nairobi being an economic hub in the region, there lies many opportunities for collaboration. President Masisi said his country is ready to work with the government of Kenya in the agriculture sector, especially in promoting beef production.
Again, Your Excellency, despite there being very great potential for trade, the volume of trade is relatively low And we urge that with this kind of discussion and engagement, we should be able to increase the volume of trade between the two countries.
Ruto, for the graciousness of allowing you to come and to come with such an esteemed delegation. It speaks very well to our bilateral relations, which started way back in 1966. Have been very beneficial to both Botswana and to Kenya, and we hope to grow it.
President Masisi is expected to participate in the UN Habitat Assembly in June 2023 to be held in Nairobi. John Junge for Prime Edition.
He was one of the leaders involved in initiating several development projects in post-independent Kenya. His close connection with the people saw President Daniel Moi pick him as one of his point men in Nyeri. On tonight's segment, The Cabinets, we focus on Davidson Gibuini Kuguru, who served in President Moi's cabinet.
His political career began in 1969 as Member of Parliament for Mathira constituency in Nyeri County. Kuguru was among a few people who had contact with his local community at different levels, having been a long-time health worker for the British colonialists. During the struggle for independence, Kuguru defied all odds to have injured Mau Mau fighters access hospital admission, an act of kindness that led to his arrest and detention. However, several national leaders, among them Daniel Arap Moi, recognized Kuguru's role in the freedom struggle. In 1983, Kuguru lost his Mathira seat to Eliud Matu Wamai, who was a close confidant of the then Vice President and Othaya MP Mwai Kibaki. His loss was seen as the death knell of his political career, but the electorate demanded his return to politics, and in 1988 he was re-elected as Mathira MP. In 1990, Moi appointed Kuguru as Minister for Home Affairs and National Heritage after the exit of Nyeri Town constituency MP Waroro Kanja. Kuguru became Moi's closest confidant in Nyeri upon Kanja's exit from the political scene and was named Deputy National Treasurer of KANU in 1991. This is after Mwai Kibaki walked out of government to form the Democratic Party. Kuguru's final stab at the Mathira parliamentary seat came in the first multi-party elections of December 1992, when his rival Wamai, who had since joined Democratic Party once again, trounced him at the ballot. The days of single party had come to an end, and every attempt he made to address gatherings in his constituency was met with hostility. Davidson Ngibuini Kuguru passed on in 1997 when he was still serving as the Deputy National Treasurer of the Kenya African National Union KANU Party. Today, his legacy in Mathira lingers on, and most of the projects initiated under his leadership remain arguably unrivaled. Jacqueline Macharia for The Cabinets.
What am I forgetting? Nini. Workers paid. Rent checked. Mlango locked. Visiting notices. Goza mzae silitoa jana la internet sorted. What is it? What am I forgetting?
Nini? Nimesahau kucheza Loto Moto.
Usisahau kucheza Loto Moto. Unaweza shinda hadi milioni 2 kwenye M-Pesa. Chagua lipa na M-Pesa. Paybill number weka 757070. Account number weka neno Loto. Weka kiwango chochote cha pesa kuanzia shilingi 50 hadi 2000. Lipa kisha subiri draw. Ujumbe huu umeidhinishwa na BCLP.
After the dust settled on rigorous campaigns, Kenyans are waiting for elected leaders to deliver on their pledges.
Have you used the hustler fund?
When your children sleep hungry, when you can borrow 500 or 1,000 shillings and they have some food on the table.
So the 500 you're giving me now is my purchasing power has literally been diminished comparing to probably even January or December.
But how have the leaders performed so far?
In terms of the amount of money that is being disbursed, the minimum being 500 shillings, how do you scorecard that?
No, that I'll give it a 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5.
1 out of 5.
I'll still give it 5 out of 5.
Every week, we bring you an honest assessment of the national and county governments.
What is the impact of the Hustlers Fund?
There are people who borrow praying they don't have to pay back. For example, they pray that the owner dies.
The Scorecard. Every Tuesday at 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1.
Welcome back. Let's now take a look at the world of business and also some of the things that have been happening right here in the country. Now, companies generating electricity using fuel are seeking the government's approval to start jointly importing the fuel. Independent power producers told the Senate Standing Committee on Energy that the 5 farms operating thermal power plants have initiated talks to procure fuel from the international market in bulk for economies of scale.
Power producers say the recent 63% increase in electricity prices is as a result of expensive fuel in the international market. Thermal power producers say fuel accounts for 70% of their total operations, forcing them to pass the extra cost to consumers.
I'm concerned about how much Kenyans are paying, and I believe the cost of electricity is higher as a result of the thermal plant.
We've seen highest cost of fuel oil than we ever saw before. We saw a ton of HF4, which is a primary fuel, hit almost $1,000 a ton in this period of pain.
The independent power producers have presented a proposal to the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority seeking to be allowed to import the fuel jointly to reduce the overall cost of shipping in the fuel.
It be pooled, and there were some technical challenges around pooling that we have asked the ministry to help address, plus EPRA. Among them is that every plant has some variation in the HFO spec. Can they be standardized?
The electricity generators are urging the government to also negotiate on their behalf to purchase fuel at a lower price in the international market in a bid to lower the cost of electricity generation.
This can also be in a government-to-government framework. We are open. We are not traders in fuel. So whatever works, whatever gives the best cost, we are very open and we've engaged to that extent.
However, the thorny issue of the role of long power purchase agreements on high cost of electricity emerged, pitting independent power producers on one hand and senators on the other.
How can we do this? How can we get you out of this business? Because there are cheap alternatives, and you've explained you're a picking plant and all of those things. But that is where the pain of the people is. That is why we're having this conversation. If the good citizens of Denmark want to help the poor of Mukuru, please, can we remove your plant from the grid?
O&M obligation, availability obligation, and that becomes part of the package. It's like a house mortgage, right? So until we are done with the mortgage, we are on the hook to pay for the mortgage, right? And that's how these power plants are, right? It's a build, operate kind of contract, and they are done to very international standards.
Benson Rioba reporting for Prime Edition.
Now, the public wants the Public Debt Management Office to be given more powers to manage Kenya's debt portfolio. Residents of Kisumu County say the debt office should have sweeping powers to ensure Kenya's debt doesn't spiral out of repayment. The residents spoke during the ongoing public consultations on the proposed amendment to the Public Finance Management Act 2012 and the public debt limit, which seeks to redefine public debt and relook at the public debt remit.
The National Treasury wants to amend the Public Finance Management Act of 2012 to give the Public Debt Management Office more say in the country's debt management. Currently, the office has 3 distinct roles, which include helping minimize the cost of public debt, promoting the development of the market for government debt securities, and sharing the benefits and cost of public debt between the current and future generations. Already, the National Treasury has tabled the bill in Parliament. Under the proposed law, the Debt Office will be empowered to provide advisory on sustainable debt levels.
Under that, we want to have, like the word, there are various sections. So to remove public from the county debt, so that we just have county debt, not county public debt. And also from the national to remove national and have public debt, being that counties are allowed to borrow, but then guaranteed by the national government.
The draft law will add more roles to the office, including advising Parliament and the Cabinet Secretary on the sustainable levels of public debt and the annual borrowing limit.
We are talking of a debt anchor of 55% of GDP as the limit, as the threshold that should be set. So we'll be seeking that amendment from the National Assembly. So this was to undertake public participation on that.
Speaking during a consultative forum on the proposed law, Kisumu residents have urged Parliament to give the office more powers to tweak and amend the government's debt management plans.
Primarily, the biggest problem with the debt has been the oversight institutions are weak. National government is not candid enough to stand on their role and do it as they are supposed to do. And that's because they approve the borrowing, they approve it after they have been bought most of the time.
Under the changes, the National Treasury Cabinet Secretary will be required to update Parliament in writing whenever public debts exceed the threshold set out in the law, as well as the remedial plans.
And also
the proposed amendment seeks to scrap off the public debt limit cap of 10 trillion shillings and instead peg it at 55% of the country's gross domestic product. The residents also questioned the criteria for selecting participants, arguing that the essential groups such as civil organizations and the disabled are usually ignored. For Prime Edition, I am Wycliffe Okech.
The government is in the advanced stages of launching the second phase of the Hustler Fund, targeting micro, small and medium enterprises, having disbursed 27 billion shillings since the rollout of the first phase of the Hustler Fund. Cabinet Secretary for Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, Simon Chelugui, says the Hustler Fund will be unveiled at the beginning of next month, offering businesses between 10,000 shillings and 200,000 shillings.
Weza kupata mikopo kwa urahisi, uweze kutimiza mahitaji yako na ya biashara yako. Mkopo.
Finally, it is a reality as Kenyans now can access the Hustlers Fund. President William Ruto campaign promised a tailored to uplift the livelihoods of millions of Kenyans locked out of the banking sector or blacklisted for defaulting on digital loans. The president on Wednesday terming the 50 billion shillings kitty a game changer as it will be paid on 0.02% interest a day.
We have made interest 500 times lower than the average interest rate in the market. And that interest is going to serve only two purposes: to make sure that we can run the fund and to make sure
We apologize for that story. We'll be bringing you the latest story on the Hustler Fund and how much has been disbursed out there to Kenyans at the bottom of the pyramid. Now, moving on, the Insurance Regulatory Authority has put on notice underwriting firms who delay payment of claims, arguing it eroding market confidence while creating distrust among premium holders, which in turn aggravates low insurance penetration. Commissioner of Insurance Godfrey Kiptum further urged insurance firms to leverage technology to innovate micro-insurance products that largely remain undertapped to leapfrog insurance penetration.
Delays in settlement of claims, low awareness levels about insurance and limited access to products and information are some of the challenges identified for low insurance uptake in Kenya.
Everybody should be able to honor their part of the bargain, and if you are not in a position to, then you are not supposed to be in business. I think it was as clear as that. And that is provided for in law, that you provide insurance cover so that you can do the needful when the need arises.
Insurance penetration currently stands at 2.17% against the global average of 7.4%.
To what extent are the members of the public aware of insurance and the role that insurance plays in their lives? The next challenge has always been affordability. Because you might know the role that insurance plays in your life, you might need it, but you might not be able to buy it.
Kiptum says a focus on micro-insurance and leveraging on technology in product offering and distribution, targeting low-income households could help increase the uptake of insurance in Kenya.
While the government would urge the insurance, those in the insurance space to come up with innovative products that can assist that common mwananchi down there in the grassroots. It is important that those claims are paid whenever issues occur.
They say technology will go a long way in addressing challenges facing the insurance industry, including delivering a personalized policyholder experience, rising cost of operation, and business intelligence and competition.
The penetration is still low. There are many challenges, other underlying challenges that you can't run away from. But from our end as a regulator and as a government, we can give you assurance that the plans we've put in place in the next 4 to 5 years, you realize an increment when it comes to penetration.
Regina Manyara reporting for Prime Edition.
To the story on Hustler Fund, which the second phase will be unveiled at the beginning of next month, which will offer businesses between 10,000 shillings and 200,000 shillings. Here's that story now.
The government launched the first phase of Hustler Fund on 30th of November last year to ease access to credit for Kenyans at the bottom of the pyramid, offering as low as 500 shillings and a high of 50,000 shillings. As of 9 a.m. Monday, Kenyans had borrowed 27.15 billion shillings from the Hustler Fund that aims to increase financial inclusion, especially for low-income earners. Cooperatives, micro and small medium enterprises Cabinet Secretary Simon Chelugui says borrowers have repaid 19.8 billion shillings, leaving a deficit of 10 billion shillings.
At the peak of this program, we were handling 235,000 transactions per second. And that confirms the power of partnership. And we have already seen over 7 million Kenyans who are dutifully borrowing and repaying. These are the true hustlers of Kenya.
The government is in the final stages of launching the second phase, targeting business owners who will access loans of up to 200,000 shillings and offered longer repayment period.
As we roll out the new products, we are going to introduce individual business loans. We are going to introduce the group business loans, which is going through tests now by Airtel and the other companies. And once we are ready, possibly in another week's time.
The CES challenged mobile money operators to constantly enhance and improve services for the 1.5 million registered small businesses across the country.
So we are asking our partners, our mobile network operators, that for SME to succeed, for SMEs who don't have the benefit of the marketing budget, without the benefit of research, feasibility studies, we can break those barriers by enabling them, by connecting them, putting them in a platform where the sellers, the producers can meet the consumers and the buyers of their products.
The world is moving towards digital-based products and digital-based solutions.
They were speaking at the launch of Airtel Premier product, My Plan Chaguo Langu, tailored for MSMEs, startup and corporates.
That is where we wrap up business news for tonight, but you can find more stories on our website at kbc.co. Karen Kibet is up next with the sports update. My name is Weri Mojenga. Have a good night.
Aviator Instant Game. Be a daring pilot and earn by how much high you can lift the plane. The higher you fly,
That Bet live kwenye KBC Channel 1, mwenzio wa dhati michezoni. Sports News is brought to you by Mozart Bet.
Kurumisha ndege. Aviator Instant Game. Be a daring pilot and earn by how much high you can lift the plane. The higher you fly, the higher your win. The sky is the limit. Mozart Bet.
For keeping it KBC Prime Edition, let's now talk sports. My name is Karen Kibet. Rift Valley Region beat Coast Region 7-1 in the handball match at the Term 1 Games for Special Secondary Schools, which ends tomorrow at the Dagoretti High School.
Coast Region endured a tough day as they lost 4-2 and 7-1 against Nyanza and Rift Valley regions respectively in the men's handball match. In other results, Central Region also lost twice, going down 10-0 and 5-0 against Western and Nyanza respectively. 8 regional teams are participating in the games, which has brought together players with special needs. The games are divided into 3 categories of the hearing impaired, vision impaired and the physically challenged, and include javelin, athletics as well as handball.
I would only talk about sponsorship. We are asking people who are able to assist us to come on board and sponsor us in terms of trophies and probably something to motivate our participants.
The games started on Saturday and will conclude tomorrow with the winners walking away with the trophies. For Prime Edition, I'm Fred Njogu.
Thank you, Njogu, for that report. Moving on, Kenya's Bernard Koech and Dorcas Tuitoek were crowned the champions of this year's Haspa Marathon Hamburg in Germany. Meanwhile, Samuel Mailu smashed a 9-year-old course record to win the 2023 Vienna City Marathon in Austria.
Bernard Koech won the 2023 edition of the Haspa Hamburg Marathon in a course record time of 2 hours, 4 minutes and 9 seconds. His compatriots Joshua Bellet and Martin Kosgei finished second and third, respectively. In the women's competition, Tuitoek clocked 2 hours, 20 minutes and 9 seconds, beating Ethiopia's Turuye Mesfin to the second spot. Uganda's Stella Chesang finished third. Elsewhere, Kenya's Samuel Mailu smashed the 9-year-old course record of the Vienna City Marathon after clocking 2 hours, 5 minutes and 8 seconds to emerge victorious. Milo's compatriots Bethwell Liegon and Titus Kemutai finished second and third respectively. Kenya also won the women's title after Magdalene Masai clocked 2 hours, 24 minutes and 12 seconds to win this year's title. Her compatriot Agnes Keino ran 2 hours, 24 minutes and 25 seconds to finish second, ahead of Ethiopia's Gadise Mulu, who was third. Nora Mwangi for Prime Edition.
Thank you, Nora, for that report. The national women's rollball team began their title defense on a winning note after winning 3 matches at the ongoing 6th edition of the Rollball World Cup Championship in Sri Shiv Chhatrapati Sports Complex in India. They opened their campaign with a 2-1 win over Egypt, then thrashed France and Nepal 10-0 and 8-2 respectively. The men's team also began their campaign on a high note, humbling Sierra Leone 16-0 and going ahead to beat Iran and Ivory Coast 8-2 and 10-2 respectively. France also lost to the Kenyan men 18-0. The event, which began on 21st of this month, will end on Wednesday this week. Champions of the inaugural Tony Sign Super Cup in an entertaining final. The Woodley Ground in Kibera. The tournament, which started in February this year, attracted 36 men as well as 10 women's team from Kajiado, Kiambu and Nairobi counties.
Lakeside Brothers emerged champions of the inaugural Tony Sine Super Cup. The team beat Santiago 4-2 in post-match penalties following a barren draw in regulation time. Tournament organizers called on the county government of Nairobi to help uplift the ground, which is paramount to talent development in the area, as well as curbing drug abuse among the youth, which was the aim of the tournament.
We've been engaging our boys and girls and educating them about the use of drugs, the use of alcohol. So we've achieved. I can say we've achieved. Yeah, we have over 30 boys and girls we took for rehabilitation, and now they've improved. They are off the drugs.
His sentiments were echoed by former presidential candidate George Wajakoya, who also reiterated on the need of both county and national governments to renovate the facility.
Where there is peace and where there is hope and where there is integrity coupled with hope, any hopeless situation can actually be a thing of the past. If you find men and women of this kind of magnitude coming up and saying, look, let us do what we can do, contribute what we can contribute to society so that we can elevate those young men and women like these kids here, then what else can we do?
Lakeside Brothers bagged 300,000 shillings while Santiago Queens thrashed Lakers Queens 5-1 in the women final to walk away with 50,000 shillings cash reward. Meanwhile, Boma Sportif defeated Makutano FC 2-1 in the final of the Nelson Munga football tournament held at the Makutano playground. Goals by Julius Kamau and James Mungai handed Boma the title and a cash prize of 60,000 shillings.
Tukiendelea na hii mpira kama saa hii vile unaona kuko na umati wa watu, bado hawa watoto hao vijana wadogo watakuwa wakisoma mpira kulingana na hawa, na watakuwa wanafurutwa na wale wengine wale wakubwa ambao wanachezea kwa hii uwanja.
Tutengenezewe vifaa. Tukishatengenezewa vifaa, uwanja, social hall, tuweze kupata indoor games, vijana wetu hamna siku watapotelea kwa pombe.
Makutano FC walked away with 50,000 shillings after finishing second in the tournament.
And my colleague's report, Barclay, brings us to the end of the sports news tonight. I'll definitely see you tomorrow, same time, same place with more sports news. My name is Karen Kibet. Right after this short break, my colleague Mboya will be back with more. Don't go too far.
Sports News was brought to you by Mozart Bet.
Nafasi yako ya kuwa mdosi wako. Jiunge na washindi tufanye biashara. Kuwa mshindi. Mozart Bet.
Well, that's all we had time for. We'll be back tomorrow again on Prime Edition. It's always such a joy to have you tuned in. Thank you on behalf of the Prime Edition team, including our sign language interpreter, Susan Thuku. My name is Mboya. Good night from Nairobi, Kenya.
na mgala wako hapa.
Who the hell are you?
Tunataka kupiga exchange. Kwa hiyo prisoner mko naye hapo na wewe mgala.
Prisoner mgani unaongea kuhusu nini?
Lola. Uko sawa?
Niko sawa. Ni uchungu sijui imetoka wapi.
Lola. Uko sawa tena unapiga nduru. Nini mbaya?
Unapa closari. Twende Zari. Zari. Unapa closari.
نياد أوغاتي عدتي شيء الكيغا.
نعم.
وحربا إني قذان.
Zari.
وحربا إني وهذا إنتان.
I came here to find out about Mr. Oligario's health. But it turns out I find this ridiculous scene and this jerk is here, pressuring you to marry him.
Hey, watch your words, mister.
Don't let him pressure you, Fabiola.
Yes, speaking.
I need to see you now, please. This is really urgent. Just tell me where we can meet.
Just tell me where you'll be and the directions. I'll meet you there.
Corina, many years ago, before you even came into this world, your mother was married to my son, the real owner of Las Bandidas. Why hasn't your father told you anything about it?
They called you up to offer you a job.
Yes.
How come? Who is sick, eh?
Just an old friend's husband. Do you remember Malena?
Corey? What's up? What happened? Fabi, I know everything. Now I know everything.
Hapa tunakaribisha kila mtu. Shikwekwe James.
Deda Nwanjohi.
Mwanaisha Auma.
Naiva Lombati.
Hapa kuna ukweli. Hapa kuna tension. Are you sure you're going for the 6,000?
Utaongeza ngapi?
Wengi watalia. Na kuna sarakasi ya kila aina. Na hapa kuna ushindi. 150,000 Kenya shillings. Washing machine. A school bag. Na hapa ni Lotomoto. Hapa KBC.
To Wakadinali, Mutoria, you name them. Check it out. We have to agree that Nairobians love to have a good time. Any opportunity to party is always welcome with open arms. Well, after Tusker Fest was launched right here in the capital the last week of last month, the concert finally found its way back in Nairobi after traversing different other counties from Kisumu, Meru, and Eldoret. Revelers converged at Quiver Lounge ready to have a night full of good music, or as they simply put it, a night of great vibes and inshallah. It kicked off with some hype session before Wangeshi, a Kenyan rapper who rose to great popularity through her feature on the Ligiso remix in 2013, took the stage. Wangeshi was then joined by Scam Cardinale as they performed their collabo song. After Wangeshi came Boutros, who has seen numerous success in his music career in the past 3 years. He got to perform some of his major hits, including Angela, which is still very much a club banger as we speak. Crisper was next, and the Ndovuku hitmaker kept travelers entertained throughout his performance. It was then time for some chilled but not too chilled vibes by Motoria. The Afro electropop artist and producer is very steadily creating a strong fan base for his music. Closing off the artist's performance, as has been in every one of these concerts, were the lyrical geniuses Wakadinali. The MCA hitmakers comprising of Ska, Domani and Siwa carried the day with their performance. After all the acts were done, taking the stage was none other than the wake-up call turntablist DJ Grouchy. Tusker Fest will be winding down their month-long event next weekend in Mombasa.
Alright guys, we are heading straight to the Alliance Francaise, where the Showcase Wednesday was all about celebrating the Mjikenda culture. And guess who are the headliners, guys, manze? Katoi Wakabaka alongside the Mjikenda band all the way from Mombasa. Let's check it out.
Live acoustic music is becoming a vibe, as many music lovers tend to turn up whenever such an event is happening. Last week, Alliance Francaise hosted one of the dopest bands, dubbed Mjikenda Band, all the way from the coast. What looked more of a cultural event for embracing the Mjikenda community, one of the largest communities in the coast, turned out to be the most thrilling event, as the joy and happiness was well printed Watoi wa Kabaka and the Mijikenda Band showered their fans with the world of the East African coast through their music, a fusion of traditional coastal music with soul and jazz.
You feel at home, you feel appreciated, you feel like that's what you are born to do. And it gives you hope, it gives you courage to do what you do best, which is music.
The band wrapped up their show with a rendition from Juma Tutu na Kupenda Kama Sukari and Vidonge by Aisha B. Malaika.
I had no idea that coastal music wana mziki ya pale coastali. Mtu wangu anakuambia ile ndo mziki ambayo tunafaa tukue tukisikiza. So yeah, I enjoyed the music. It was just amazing. Mwah.
I think when you talk about music in Kenya, you cannot talk about Kenyan music without talking about Mijikenda music. It is so profound, and the dancing, the beats are on. It's absolutely fantastic.
It's all about identity and being original, and to try to create, or not really to create, but to promote a genuine, original, authentic African tune from the coast of Kenya. Because I believe that